I'd say hi, Steve, but Steve isn't here this week. Okay, coughing out of the way. So, last session, stuff happened. That
We
about
were
does
on a
it.
boat.
So okay, you've escaped with a locked chest from a sinking slave brig and harnessing the power of wind and steam methods. Jozdess and Stiiv aimed your newly salvaged jolly boat toward the coastal town of Saltmarsh, while Shaefira, why can I never say your name right? You finessed
Shook her
open,
hips.
yeah, you finessed open the locked chest, and the party got some treasure. Everybody's a little bit richer. Kereithlana acquired a circlet of oceany bits that she has deduced holds some magical spellcasting abilities. And the party also found a contract that grants its bearer ownership of a lockbox warded by the banks of House Kundarak. After a little bit more than a day, you guys eventually reached Saltmarsh Harbor. I should have said y'all eventually reached Saltmarsh Harbor. Jozdess, perhaps because of his previous serving with the Marines that defend the harbor, immediately set in motion efforts to report what he knows about the sinking of the slave brig and how they acquired this jolly boat to one of his former superior officers, who I now remember who they are. Yay!
I only remember because it's on my character sheet. I have to find it though.
You said the names and I was like, I know, okay. Well, I knew who Eleander was, but the other guys, I was like, okay, I remember reading something about them. But for the life of me,
Yeah.
I was like, I can't remember who they are and I can't remember where to look to figure out who they are. And immediately after we were done and I went and looked, I like found who they are and I felt stupid. But yay! Stiiv, who is not eager to socialize with members of the town guard for some reason, slunk off without the rest of the party taking notice at the time. Stiiv disguised himself and he's now wandering around Saltmarsh doing Stiiv things. The first Marine Jozdess found at the docks was completely useless, so he remained behind with the jolly boat while Kymir, Shaefira, and Kereithlana went in search of one of Jozdess's contacts, the captain of the town guard, Eleander Fireborn. The trio found him at the barracks/prison. They had a nice chat, and Shaefira is now on Captain Fireborn's list of possible troublemaker halflings.
What?
Kereithlana was also a bit vague for his tastes, but Kymir scored brownie points by speaking of his monastery in the Emerald Mountains and his quest to help Saltmarsh fight the Lizard Princes, because this is one of Captain Fireborn's strongest concerns for the town. We ended with the captain headed to the docks to speak to Jozdess, and Kereithlana, Kymir, and Shaefira possibly visiting Kundarak Bank to follow up on the lockbox. But they have to pass at least one tavern to get there, so who knows? So, Jozdess, you're on the docks. I can't remember what time I told you it was, but I say it's at least mid-morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first day of the week. That's why the market was open last time for Shaefira to pick up some food as the rest of the group walked towards the barracks.
I've got dumb questions because I
Mhm.
just want to be clear on how dim I'm being. The
Yeah.
docks, are the smaller boats being pulled ashore on the beaches, or
No, there's varying sizes of docks. So there's a few larger lengths of dock that are clearly intended for the larger cargo-oriented vessels. And then they kind of scale down in size as you go at different points along the docks. And this is just one, like the main inlet of the docks. There are different sections up and down the coast that have more smaller docks, but this is usually where all of the very large, like any galleon-sized vessels will come to this area.
And this is my the bit I was struggling with while I was not awake last week at all. I don't understand what stops people effectively joyriding around in boats. So that's the system that's concerning me at the moment.
Joyriding around in boats.
Well, effectively, you've got with the smaller boats. If the crew's not there, it's what stops someone just wandering off with it. This is the reason I was hanging around the boat,
You did
basically.
spend some time with the Marines in the past working with them. And what you know is it's not a completely effective system of how the harbor is manned, because one of the primary functions of the harbor Marines is to defend the city, and they spend a great portion of their time kind of defending against pirate incursions up and down the coast, as well as trying to apprehend smugglers. So, whatever time they have left is kind of sent policing the harbor for things like collisions and theft, any kind of
Okay.
like minor crimes. You do know that boats can be licensed with the town, and if they're licensed, they have some kind of local designation as property. And that's the stuff that the local Marines are likely to help follow up if there's any theft. But everything else is kind of no man's land.
Fair enough.
But people who haven't registered are they tend to be people who are more likely looked at as criminals or suspicious by the local
No,
authorities.
I was more wondering if they had non-docked moorings and things like that, but it's a river, which makes it much more problematic.
Yeah,
I was just wondering.
yeah, because there's stuff up and down the river that isn't necessarily considered the town harbor proper.
Yeah, because it's such a small boat, it can actually probably get under the bridge and stuff. So no,
Right.
it doesn't matter. As I said, I was just wondering because I've continued to have no idea about this silly boat. Final dumb question before you can actually finish what you're going to say to me. Shipwrights. I'm
Yes.
assuming there are some. Are they in the northern part of Saltmarsh? I guess.
Shipwrights. There are some guilds, and they're located in the northern part of town. One is a mariners guild, and another one is a carpenters guild. And they are the groups of people who normally would assist with that kind of stuff. The Carpenters
And
Guild does a lot of the shipwright
yeah,
work in the area, though they will also do more handyman tasks as well. It just kind of depends if you hit them at a good time where they aren't backed up. Um,
it's more of I have a bunch of dumb questions, and it's either going to be someone who's a shipwright or I need to find a mage. But aside from these minor points, anyway, you were going to
is it
inflict
something to
something on
do
me.
with the methods that power this jolly boat?
Oh yeah, I'm increasingly convinced they need something as fuel, but I just don't know what it is. I'm hoping it's just dragon shards, but
It'll be.
anyway,
But it is still a functioning jolly boat.
yeah,
One way or another.
great.
Um,
Anyway,
so you've been hanging out for a little while. It's been about, say, half an hour since the trio of Kereithlana, Kymir, and Shaefira wandered off. You don't know what happened to Stiiv. The private who you spoke to earlier with the Marines was pretty useless, and he's gone and wandered off. So you're waiting around for someone of reasonable softy intelligence to show up to talk to you.
I'm just gonna make the vessel as good as I can and tie it down, secure it, and do all of the normal things. We haven't got any tarps and things like that, so
Right.
it'll just have to do as it is. But I was going to go ashore some point and find some. But
And at this time of day, because it's not bad weather, the dock is fairly empty of smaller boats such as yours. You see a few sloops berthed here and there in the section of the marina that's for smaller boats. But most working vessels are out to sea at this time of day, so you don't see a lot of fishers on the dock. You don't see a lot of it's just too early for people to come back with the day's catch. They're all out to sea. So what you do see though is a few larger cargo ships who have come alongside the larger docks in the distance, a little bit farther out of this inlet. Do a perception check.
Dice rolling. No. In the simplest form of the universe.
So while you're standing around, you don't really notice anything that strikes your interest. You can see from where you're standing things like there's a tavern a little bit to the west. To the north, there's the house of Gellin Primewater, who was, the softie who was holding that useless party the other night. You do see there's still several people milling around the block, and to the west, you also hear the sounds of the local market. This being the first day of the week, that's taking place, and so there's a few more people that would normally be on the docks this time of day because the market is being held. So you're kind of tempted in that direction because you can smell the eggs from where you're waiting.
Mm-hmm.
A few more minutes pass, and you see a man that you recognize approach. And this is Sergeant Will Stoutly.
Okay. Is he coming my direction, or is he just walking?
He's coming your direction purposefully, and he says, "Greetings, Private Jozdess." Even though you're not technically a Marine anymore, he still calls you Private.
Noon or morning.
I saw the report Private Pulte was putting in about a vessel acquired from pirates and a lizard folk by the name of Jozdess who wanted to make a report. I slapped him upside the head because he's an idiot. This is obviously the kind of thing that, he's a new fellow.
Yeah, it happens.
He replaced, when Toddley fell, when we invaded that prince's stronghold, when Toddley perished. Yeah, this is the guy who replaced him, and he's not half up to muster.
I'm going to make an assumption Toddley's the person that died horribly inflicted by his own stupidity, but I don't actually remember his name. So
yes, that is Toddley.
Like, he's gonna get my best blank stare.
You can do an insight roll, or you can just assume that you're like, that's probably Toddley, but you don't care.
Well, there wasn't many people who died that day, so I'm gonna have to assume it was him. So they've replaced one incompetent with another. Anyway.
So Sergeant Will Stoutly and his husband Tom, they basically run the Marines. And there's only maybe a crew of a dozen Marines that really are dedicated to patrolling the harbor and the area surrounding, so they kind of go out as shock teams when they're trying to fight against the sea princes to the north and that are more associated with the Lazar principalities.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you know them, is from doing one of those raids in the past.
Yeah.
So he asks you about the threadbare notes that that Private Putley put down, or Private Putley, whatever the guy's name was.
I'll try and explain as far as I'm able. Let's try and summarize this as quick as possible. So, the local rumors about disappearances and people going missing some of that would appear to be factual and be what I'd call abduction by slavers, pirates, and general shenanigans of that nature. It would appear that there's an association with someone actually in Saltmarsh itself who's directing that, from evidence we may have gathered.
We've been afraid of that. That this kind of keeps in line with what our worst suspicions have been.
And I would personally, you're looking at least a small group involved doing that, if not multiple groups, due to the sheer number of people who were taken in one night and the methods that they were possibly taken.
Now, do you remember any designation, any distinguishing marks of the vessel that sank?
I'll tell them whatever I can tell, because it was masked, it had a ballista on its rear. Made distinguishing points of the captain and the Minotaur first mate, who was named Rego. No, he was shouted a lot, but I can't remember it. Not off the top of my tiny brain.
A
Minotaur
Minotaur first mate, you said?
Yeah. The captain shouted it from a number of times.
Name?
I will say you might have gotten his name.
It was shouted 2 or 3 times, but honestly, that was last week, and I wasn't awake last week. So, no, not last week. It was the week before. Yeah. So, as I said, it's not information that I can remember personally. So, the boat was called the Golden something.
The Golden. But
again, personally, my memory's shot to hell, so I don't remember anything. But some of the crew possibly also came from Saltmarsh, just possibly due to a possible smuggling link.
So the Golden doesn't strike anything in Stoutly's memory.
No.
But the Minotaur first mate does make him think of that there's this fort to the northeast toward the Lazar Principalities called Fort Liev. A bunch of Minotaur pirates are ensconced there. That they might be associated with this group.
I don't know if you've got records of ships that may have been in port on the night of the party, but again, I'm not assuming that the ship was in port. Again, because of the smuggler element, I would say it's possibly likely that they just shipped the people out to the boat rather than actually have the boat come into the harbour.
Quite. I mean,
directly.
You said you acquired this sloop from this vessel.
Yeah.
So
well,
they could have been
a
bit
couple
out to sea and transported any
But
hijacked personages on the small
They
boats.
captured Shirt and Vilewind, Poison Wind. He was an annoying chap.
Those are
Pennywise.
the local Union fellows.
Yeah. So they were captured along with us, plus a goblin who we never got the name of, and a kobold called Scurvy, who shouted a lot about Captain Meeble taking his revenge on the universe.
The Dread.
They're all possibly dead.
The Dread Pirate Meeble. He's been in trouble as well.
Yeah, so effectively they had what I will describe as some bad luck for them in the fact that they got attacked by a sea beast. And during that, things got worse for them because while they were being attacked, we kind of broke out and started murdering people too. We've got a copy of their logs. We've got their navigation gear. I haven't actually checked that. Did we get any maps? No. But we got the logs which indicate how frequently they've been doing this. And that's where the link between the person in Saltmarsh, because there's definitely an entry in there that relates to payments, but no names, sad to say.
So
I was going to hand that over to Eleander when the other people who escaped from the pirate vessel have finished doing what they wanted to do.
Oh, who's with you? Do they seem remotely competent?
Yes.
Are they lizard folk?
There's a tiefling, a small halfling, and a sea elf. Yeah, they're competent. Well,
Oh,
and
Stiiv.
Stiiv, yeah,
Oh, Stiiv was with you. Ah, so
yeah,
wonder.
they got him due to claw wine.
Are you sure he didn't have anything to do with the ship sinking? Because you know Stiiv.
No, it wasn't anything he did.
Terrible
The-
things happen wherever Stiiv goes. It's. I don't feel like I'm being judgmental when I say that. Yeah,
Well, that's how superstitions do start.
it's like ever since that aberrant mark, that terrible sigil appeared on his face, strange things have started happening wherever he goes, and it's unsettling. You know,
It
the
could also
locals
be
won't
more
get
the
on the
case
ship
that
with
he
him.
goes to places where the strange things are rather than it's his fault. But, makes a little or no difference how you interpret it.
Well, do you think that could actually be useful to the town guard at all?
Well, he killed pirates, so
Huh.
he even distracted the first mate, which allowed us to get off the boat. So,
Interesting.
as I said, they're competent. I can't speak to the competence of the people who got killed by the sea beast, but they may have been competent too, but they probably did.
So while you've been talking,
Venom wind. Venom wind? I can't remember. All I remember is he got really evil farts.
So while you're talking to him, that you see Captain Eleander, Fireborn, limp along the docks and approach you, and he joins in on your conversation. It's like,
Okay, well,
well,
I'll repeat the summary as far as I hand, and I'll hand him over the ledger, which is
and
the
he
evidence.
confers. He says that he met your friends, and the tiefling seems all right.
Yeah, they are who they are.
Stoutly mentions that Stiiv was with the group as well, and you see Eleander kind of raise an eyebrow.
There may have been other survivors from the boat. It's unclear what happened to the Minotaur first mate. The captain may have got over because I didn't get an opportunity to stick him with some javelins when he was swimming away, and at least 2 other jolly boats got away. But I'm not entirely sure one of the jolly boats had a pirate crew on it, or if they did, they were having some kind of internal argument.
With your description, it seems to strike a little bit more of a nerve with Captain Eleander. And he thinks your description of this human captain with a Minotaur first mate sounds like that might have been Lars Lamond, who has been known to be a pirate sailing up and down the Lazar Straits for several years now.
Well, he's currently without boat, so. And I can give you an approximate position. Oh, well, I gave the private an approximate position where we went down based on how far we travelled, but it is very approximate. And obviously, if you had a jolly boat, it's possible to get to land. Theoretically, it's possible someone could swim that distance, but it'd be a very difficult swim.
So the captain's very thoughtful about everything that you've reported, and he kind of gives a glancing once over to the ledgers, and he's quite concerned about the idea that the slave trade has entrenched itself into Saltmarsh. It's obviously illegal in the country, and the rulers in New Throne would not be happy with this turn of events. So it kind of makes him even more determined to clamp down on smuggling in the town because he thinks the smugglers must be in league with this activity and in league with the pirates.
Sadly, I'd probably confirm that's the case because there were certainly smugglers on board. Well, people associated with the smugglers on board, or at least one of them. However, whether they're fully aligned with the pirates, I would say, is somewhat in doubt due to the fact that they assisted us in escaping, or tried to at least.
You think about Stiiv is what you mean, because Stiiv.
One of the pirates approached Stiiv to assist him in escaping and to help us escape. But unfortunately, by the time he left, we'd already escaped. They
It's
don't make
very
Briggs like they
strange and
should do.
tangled, the allegiances that these smugglers have. They can't be trusted to look after the concerns of the country in the town, but they can't necessarily be trusted to betray us. I don't really know what to think. The problem I have is with all of this activity that is done in the shadows, not out in the open. No good can come of it.
This is a dumb question out of character. Is there a bounty for pirates and things like that? Would there be such a thing in Saltmarsh? And how would you prove it? But anyway, I'm
Yeah,
just wondering.
in this circumstance, there probably isn't a bounty. At times, there might be bounties put out for specific pirates that you might see posted back at, not at the prison barracks, but normally there is a Basur Watch Tower slightly to the north of the prison and barracks where
Mm-hmm.
official bounties might be posted. You might see something else elsewhere, like at the Mariners Guild.
No, that's fine. I was just wondering if I could try and finagle something, but it's not
Um,
worth worrying
but
about
considering the circumstances of this jolly boat that you have taken possession of, it's perfectly fine if you keep it. He does recommend that you get a license for the boat at the town hall so that it's officially registered as your property.
it. Mm-hmm.
Do you mention that it's powered by Mephits or not?
Were the other jolly boats we saw go off in the distance doing the same thing ours was?
Yes.
Okay, then I will. Because it's somewhat more posh as a thing.
Since it's worth a little bit of tidy change, certainly more than your standard rowboat or sloop or small, jolly boat. Uh, he says they might call on you for assistance now and then if they need an extra boat. If they need someone able to move faster, give chase to someone if the situation comes up.
Mm.
So it kind of implies that he might call upon you to assist the Marines or assist the town guard in the future.
Well, if we're around, then that's fine. As said, I don't know what we're doing with the boat. It may just get sold.
He asks outright, "Are you available if we end up raiding another outpost? Would you and your other associates possibly be interested in temporarily conscripting with the Marines?"
I personally have no objection to that, but I really can't speak for the others. Because you'd have to actually pose that question to them. We've known each other a whole day, and only because we had to escape pirates. So whether or not trails, paths, or whatever you want to align is said. So I don't know what their plans are. Therefore, I don't know what will happen to the boat. I will say, if we do go to sell it, I'll make sure you're aware. Therefore, if you want to buy it into the town for the use of the Marines, at least you've got it there. But as said, it'll be down to, at the moment, we're just divvying up what spoils we've got. Whether or not we keep the boat is down to everyone's decision.
If you
I
do
assume.
sell such a boat, if you wouldn't mind sharing that information, I would appreciate knowing who comes into a possession of such a vehicle.
Yeah. It's no problem.
So you kind of wrap up your conversation with them. They've taken, the captain's taken the ledger. They've both taken notes. You feel like they've gotten a much more detailed report than the previous private kind of derped, um, based off of what you were talking about with your experience. And they bid you farewell, and the captain repeats that if you'd like to, if you're interested in earning any coin doing work for the town guard, just come by either the barracks or the Basur Watch Tower,
Mm-hmm.
and either he or the head jailer might be able to hook you up with some work.
I'll pass that on to the others.
And do another perception check. Because probably like another 20 minutes have passed. So at this point, as you bid farewell to the sergeant and the captain, you notice on the Prime Warder mansion, perched up by one of the chimneys, you spot a little tiny imp that appears to be watching you. It sees you take notice, and it poofs out of sight.
Glad I don't have knowledge arcane, otherwise I'd be berating it for being so dim in the first place. But anyway,
You also notice two men carrying something that looks like a chest. Not anything fancy, but more like a crate, I guess is the more accurate word, into some kind of door at the back of the Prime Water Mansion. Doesn't look like it's one of the, typical entrances.
mm-hmm.
And lastly, you see a surreptitious figure in the distance, heading south on the Shark Fin Bridge. And what catches your eye about this figure is they're wearing a straw hat that reminds you of the bosun from the slave brig who helped set Stiiv free and who was talking to him before you made your escape from the ship. But
Okay.
He's a good 100 feet away.
Yeah, but he's going on the land, and I don't have to worry about that. Well, much as I was planning on going and playing with the Prime Water Mansion, what I'll do, as long as the ship's secure and everything is in order as I can get it, I'll just roll off the ship into the water and swim across to get to the to try and get into a place where I can watch Mr. Straw Hat and keep tabs on him.
Okay. We're going to switch scenes now.
Yeah, that's fine.
To the other three people.
Sorry.
Well, a brief switch of scene to the snapping line where Stiiv, now disguised as the suave and debonair man about town Esteban, is buying rounds of drinks for the tavern at large, and he's become quite popular and everybody likes him. He's quite a raconteur. And they don't recognize him. He's someone completely different. Nobody has seen through his disguise yet. Now, we switch to the outside the barracks and jail, where Kereithlana, Kymir, and Shaefira have finished talking to the captain. They have left the facility. They're standing in the street now. Cobblestone path. Where do you intend to head now?
Well, I was wanting to head to the bank because we had that contract.
Yeah.
I concur.
So Shaefira does not talk you into going into the tavern across the street. You lead her along reluctantly to the south. The cobblestone path kind of hooks to your left eventually. And you pass several houses. You actually pass Eleander Fireborn's house that's kind of on this cliff overlooking the water a little bit to the south at one point. And then you hit a junction and you see signs for the bank and for the mining operation offices to your left. And then ahead of you, if you were to continue going straight, you see there's a tower and several more buildings.
Can we tell what the tower is? Or is it just like a,
It's just like a tower.
Right.
But it kind of stands in relief compared to the more low-riding different buildings.
So it's not obviously a lighthouse or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
Right.
I mean, other than that, the two most distinguished buildings are the Fireborn Mansion that is the captain's homestead to the south or to your right, and then the building that the mining and the Kundarak Bank share is quite an impressive two-wing structure.
Okay, let's go and get the bank sorted. Work out what's what with this contract, and then we can go and have a look at the weird tower.
All right. Sounds good. Do the sites while we're here.
You enter the edifice that has kind of a discreet plaque out front that says Mining Office of the Morholds. That's MROR. I just can't say it properly. And Kundarak Bank. You go inside, and there are two distinct wings. To your left, it looks somewhat more ornate than to your right. And you can tell which side belongs to the bank because there are high golden arches.
Okay. And what does the other side look like?
It's just kind of like a wood-paneled hallway. You see dwarves kind of just marching about with lots of paperwork. Some of them look a little bit grimy and dingy. Others of them are just kind of shuffling along in a busy manner. You see a lot of little warrens of desks, and it kind of looks intensely boring.
Okay.
It's just a bunch of office workers shuffling about. The Kundarak Bank, you see kind of like these golden arches, and then at one point you see a banner spread over the high hallway as you look down the hallway entering the bank portion of the building. The banner sports the Manticore Herald of House Kundarak, and it promises a free box of Eternal Toast to customers opening a new lockbox account. One per account, while supplies last.
Huh.
Toast?
Okay. Toast.
Eternal toast.
Eternal toast.
It's just heated dwarf bread, though. Don't fall for it.
You won't be saying that when you're starving on a desert island somewhere.
Yeah, I can use the dwarf bread to kill myself. Sorry.
So as you continue down the hallway, you see a couple teller stations. They're barricaded by little individual force fields, but you see one happy, shining, smiling dwarven face waiting at one of the teller stations, perfectly eager to talk to you. And as you approach, she says, "Welcome to Kundarak Bank, home of Eberron's warding needs for over 800 years. I'm Solemnia Silverteeth. How can I secure your financial well-being today?"
Do you want me to go since have I got the
Yes.
contract, or has
Are you-
Kereithlana's got it? Me. Okay, in that case, I'll step forward. I say, what was her name?
Solemnia Silverteeth.
Good morning, Miss Silverteen. I have this contract here that will give me access to my lockbox, and I'll just hand it over.
She glances at the contract for a second and she lets out a little "ooh" sound. She's very impressed. It's not very often that you see a contract like this. One of those rights to ownerships to bearer. Ooh. Well, I'd be happy to help you with this. There are certain protocols that we must observe before I lead you to a lockbox. I'm going to have to request that the local House Civis representative is fetched just so that they can give a once-over to the seals on this contract and verify that it is in good order. Hopefully that won't take very long, maybe a few minutes. It depends on how quick our gopher can find the House Civis representative.
Okay, yes, I will happily wait.
Would you like any refreshments while you wait? And she steps from behind, like the force field kind of zips off for a split second, and she steps out from behind the teller station. And she leads you over to a set of like reclining couches and chairs and a little coffee table. And she asks if you'd like refreshments. Would you like some toast?
Toast.
She gestures to the banner that promises a box of everlasting toast. If
Might
you
be
open a
worth
new
sampling
lockbox
the
account,
toast. Yeah. Let's try the toast to see if it's worth opening a lockbox account.
so while you're waiting, she brings out they bring out a pot of ale, pot of tea, some nice little teacups, and a box. And the box, you can see it has a little seal of House Cannith on the side. And she sets the box on the table and she opens the lid and she pulls out pieces of well done toast. And then she asks, "Do you like your toast well done? I should have asked beforehand. There's several settings."
I'm good with it like that, thank you.
All right. And she points to like a little knob on the side, and it's kind of color coded between like very pale, like practically bread color to black. And as you turn the knob, you can get different settings of doneness to your toast. She closes the lid up again, and she opens it up again, and pulls out another slice of toast. And she does this repeatedly for all three of you.
Fab.
So each of you
Please
can
tell me
have...
there's butter.
There's no butter on the toast that she pulls out, but there is a separate little dish with a little knife that you can use.
Okay. That's all right then.
The toast does not come pre-buttered.
Well, everything's got its downsides.
So after a few minutes, not a full pint of ale passes, when another familiar figure comes into the bank area alongside the dwarf gopher. It's a gnome that you recognize. It's Pansy Pepperweight. And when she sees you, specifically Kymir, she is not thrilled.
What did I do?
Well, the last she saw you, you threw up on her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then shortly
she was gonna
after,
blame me for
later
the-
on in the evening, she realized she'd gotten mugged by somebody. She doesn't know whom. So she kind of associates your lot with a not very good evening that she had a couple nights ago.
I reckon I can beat her on that.
Solemnia hands over the contract. She kind of escorts Pansy over to her teller area. She leaves Pansy on the across the warded side of the teller booth, and then proceeds to enter the teller booth again, and then shows her the contract. And Pansy examines it, and she asserts that yes, the seals are in good order. This is a properly marked contract by House Civis, and everything seems to be in good order. So they bid each other farewell. You see, Pansy gets paid a couple silver pieces. And then she kind of gives you guys the side eye.
I'll just raise my hand and just sort of like wave at her as she leaves.
And she kind of begrudgingly nods. And then you see her kind of trudge back out of the bank. And now Solemnia says, okay, your contract is in good order. Two owners are allowed back in the lockbox area at a time. So which ones of you would like to go back to me to retrieve its contents?
I'm happy to explore the joys of toast.
Okay. I'll go.
Isn't toast exciting?
I've never had it before, and I've got what 5 whole settings worth to explore. So yeah.
If you like, I think we have some jam in the back room. Have you tried jam?
How about some-
Kymir's just going to say over his shoulder as he's walking off, try the jam.
I will try the jam.
So, Shaefira and Kymir accompany Solemnia Silverteeth to the lockbox area. There's some more wards and a couple different runed key codes that you see her interact with before she leads you into a discreet area filled with lockboxes and small tables for examining, for taking out items and examining them. You see her do some kind of strange shenanigans with her hands, and one of the lockboxes open. And inside, you find a simple wooden box. And inside that wooden box, you find another piece of paper. This piece of paper appears to be a deed for property registered with the town government. The teller, she doesn't really know what it means, but you see that it has a registration number on it, and she points out that if you want to find out what this deed specifically is tied to, you have to go to the town council building and look up the property number.
Okay.
But it's a deed, so you own whatever that is now.
All right, cool. Headquarters.
Ooh,
Batcave.
So you get
the tavern.
a deed with a document number on it. And if you go to the town council building, someone will surely be able to look that up for you.
Okay, would you mind telling me where the town council building is, please?
Oh, well, that's to the north. If you go to the docks, do you know where Gellin Primewater's house is?
I do, yes.
Well, let's see. If you were headed toward Gellin Primewater's house, if you got as far as, say, where the Snapping Line Tavern was or the market was, well, the town council is just past the Snapping Line Tavern on your left. If you get to Primewater's house, you've gone too far.
Okay, that will put me in the right place. Thank you.
Have they marked all of the important locations in Greywolf? Sorry.
I know that's occurred to me now. That occurred to me a few days after our last session.
This is an important building. Grey.
I was starting to notice. I will tell you that not every single everything is gray. That's
No.
that's not the sole qualification for being an important location. It just seems that way at the moment.
There's a tiny, tiny arrow.
Yeah, there is a tiny, tiny arrow. I know. It's a little flag.
So, are we,
Before you leave, she says, "Oh, would you like to continue hosting this lockbox? Because it's only paid through the week. I mean, it's a good thing you showed up when you did."
Do I get the free toast if I do?
Well, you get free toast if you open a new lockbox, but we do seem to have a lot of supplies at the moment. For some reason, fishers don't really seem to be into opening lockbox accounts. She looks pretty mystified by this whole concept.
I will gladly continue to rent the lockbox if I may have the free toast maker.
All you have to do is rent it for an extra day, but it's 5 gold a day.
How much gold have I got? Bloody hell.
20.
I think you got a bunch of gold last week.
So 5 gold for a box of eternal toast.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like emergency supplies. I mean,
You've got 20
mean,
gold at the
really-
moment. I thought you had more gold than that.
yeah, but we had all the gems and stuff that
You
we've
haven't
not sold.
sold anything that any of the other stuff like the silver bars and whatnot.
Yeah, you're right. I will pay for an extra day.
All right. So you get a box of eternal toast.
Yay!
And after your 8 days have expired, would you like to just let this contract expire?
Yes, please.
Okay. But if you have
Unless
any
I come
banking
back.
needs in the future, please come back and open up a new lockbox. Maybe you'll get another toaster. We might be having another special offer by then.
I will certainly bear that in mind. You will be my first person to contact if I require any banking.
So Kymir now has a box of eternal toast.
Yum. Now we need to find him a jar of eternal jam.
Butter.
Marmite.
Yeah, Marmite.
You two can keep away from my
I was going to
toast.
say Marmite, but then, you know.
So where are you headed to the town hall now?
Well, we'll go out and tell Kereithlana, and then I'll say, what do you want to do? Do you want to go north and find that, or do you want to have a quick look at that tower and see what it is? Because it looked kind of interesting.
Should we go and find Jozdess and see what this and look up at the town council place
Sure.
what the deed relates to? Because stuff we can actually go in legitimately and have a poke around is probably more interesting than stuff that we can only see from the outside.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds
Mm.
good. So we will head back to the boat since that's where we assume he will be.
All right. Are you taking the long way around, or are you going to kind of cut up the hill toward the shark fin bridge?
I would say that looks like a cliff.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a climb. If you kind of go veer a little bit to your left, it gets to be a part where it's just a little bit of a hill.
Yeah, let's do that.
Where
Cut
you are right
corners.
now, it's a little bit too steep to climb
Don't
without pulling out
know.
your
I have-
equipment.
I have a habit of falling down hills.
But
Yeah.
you could follow the cobbles to the left or the right, and it's about equal distance to get back to
No.
the
Yeah,
bridge.
we'll cut through.
Okay, so you cut through. It only takes a couple minutes of walking to get to the shark fin bridge. Everybody roll a perception check.
Go on. Everyone walk past each other without noticing. Great. Damn it.
Oh my god.
Wow, dire.
I used all my rolls up last week.
So by the time you get to the shark fin bridge, Kymir and Shaefira get into some kind of conversation. Number one, they keep opening up the box of eternal toast, and they're testing like how much toast they can get out of this box of eternal toast. So at this point, they have like a stack of about a dozen pieces of well done toast that they've accumulated, and that's caused them to completely miss seeing anything. Kereithlana notices though that Jozdess is swimming in the water.
I'll throw a piece of toast at him.
You see like a flock of ducks and albatrosses kind of stir up a tizzy as they all dive for the toast.
That disrupts
Jozdess,
Jozdess singing, swimming.
do a dex save to see if you get beamed by a duck.
Well, I'll just dive. I'm not gonna be on the surface if they're gonna be doing dumb things like that.
Yeah,
but,
you're gonna have to swim underwater for a second to get away from this sudden flurry of birds.
Those things.
But you get out of the way. You don't get packed like a piece of bread. So you see each other now. Kereithlana, you've noticed, and the same thing happened when you traveled this way before, but you hadn't noticed the pattern. It feels like when you're very close to or on Sharkfin Bridge, you feel a bit nauseous.
Oh.
There's something a bit unsettling to you about this place.
That's a bit strange. Can I have a quick look around, see if I can work out what it is? If there's any obvious runes or bad architecture?
Are you just going to examine? Do an insight check.
Okay.
The sense that you're getting on this bridge, you feel like there's some kind of curse. And if you ask the other members of your party with you...
Could you repeat the second half of that, please?
You feel like there's some kind of... like this bridge is cursed.
Oh.
And from asking the other members of your party, do you feel that? And they can't feel a thing. They're not bothered at all. It seems to be something specific, a specific curse that is affecting you.
Oh. Okay.
But it's only when you're in the proximity to this bridge. Another thing that you noticed, as well as Jozdess swimming in the water, you thought you caught sight of a guy in a straw hat, and you noticed him because his face was heavily scarred. And you haven't seen very many humans who look like that, just walking about. The only other person you've seen who has such distinguishing, strange marks on their face is Stiiv, but this wasn't Stiiv, you don't think.
I'll point the guy out. Surreptitiously to the other.
I'm going to say we're sure it's not Stiiv.
Would Stiiv wear a hat like that?
Did Stiiv get a hat from the bosun?
He did
He
get a
does
hat
have
when you were on the ship.
Ah,
I don't think you guys were
yeah.
awake. I think only Shaefira and Jozdess were awake when Stiiv got the hat.
Oh, Shaefira forgot.
Well, she has been. She's been
So you weren't
drinking and
wearing
she's
the
had
hat?
a lot of
Yeah.
toast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely remember being unconscious at the time.
It was distinct unconsciousness.
It was amazing.
Okay.
So, Jozdess, what are you doing in the water now?
Well, I'm just trying to get over so I can follow Hat Boy. That's all I was doing. I was just doing a fast shortcut across the thing so I didn't have to go through people and across the land. And I can swim underwater, so I'm a little less obvious. That was effectively the plan. I was just going to cut across, get up somewhere moderately high so I can spot the hat again, and then just trail him.
You see that Hat Boy, he'd already passed Sharkfin Bridge, and passed by the other members of your party. He's headed east along the waterfront inlet.
Okay,
He's still about 100 feet away.
that's fine. I said I just was the bosun scarred like this?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
the bosun,
the only reason I'm
Stiiv-
following him.
Yeah, he was heavily scarred.
So I'll try and as surreptitiously as a lizard man in a human town can trail the guy.
Okay. Do another perception check.
Oh, do I ever get close enough to actually be able to talk to these people without shouting?
What? It depends. I mean, if you're trying to keep closer to the straw-hatted guy, you're probably not close enough to the bridge for them to talk to you in normal voices.
No, I don't want to start shouting about imps. I'll come back to that in a minute. At least the Kereithlana knows where I'm going, so I'll try and make sure that they can keep tabs on me while I try and follow the other guy. Because I'm assuming he's walking, which means I can catch some distance up by just going full pelt every so often when I think he can't see me.
So you're not shouting. You guys aren't talking yet?
Well, I don't want to lose the guy, so I'll catch those guys back in a second because they're easier to find.
And you guys on the bridge, what is your number one concern right now? What's your primary goal?
Well, if we know that, like, if Kereithlana's pointed out that Jozdess is pounding his way across the bay, I guess look around and see if I can figure out what he's doing, or if he's just coming towards us.
He's not coming towards you. He passed you and he's headed away from you. The opposite, kind of like the opposite direction of where you were originally going.
Okay, then.
It's something to do with the guy in the hat.
Okay, so I'm going to assume Kereithlana just pointed out the guy in the hat that we missed with the toast.
Yeah.
We'll go, oh.
And Kereithlana still has eyes on him. She can point him out. You guys keep losing sight of him, or you keep getting... Somebody throws a piece of toast at the other person.
I'm
Because
gonna
you really have too much
and
toast for your own good now.
What do you reckon, guys?
But she's got eyes on
back him up.
There's a splash of water from the ducks, and Jozdess, you lose sight of the straw-hatted man.
Well, I know where he's going, so I was just going to get to a building and climb on top of that to get height, basically.
As you're swimming, you do see that there is, it looks like a tavern that is on stilts over the water.
That'll do. As I said, if he's going in that direction, I just need to basically go that way. And while I'm in the water, I can swim and I've lost sight of him. I can swim under the water and go full pelt at dash, and then come up and climb up to try and catch sight of him again, so I can try and close distance. Because I'm assuming he's not running, so it's just like.
No,
But I'm not
he
the
was
best at doing
traveling
this
at
stealthy stuff.
He was traveling at a reasonable pace. He was a certain distance ahead of you.
Yeah.
All right, so if we're on the bridge and Jozdess is on the building, where's the guy now?
I just marked the place where you could. There's the building over the water, like a tavern. There's ladders there for easy climbing out of the
That's
water.
Right. Okay.
That's what I was assuming.
Right. And what about the guy in the hat?
The guy in the hat, you see, he is outside of a building that is across the street from that tavern.
From the tavern.
Right. And he appears to be going in. The building has a sign out front. And it looks like it's some kind of shop. The sign says it is the Faithful Quartermasters of Militia.
That piqued my interest.
So Kereithlana definitely sees him go into the shop. Jozdess, you are out of the water. You know he was in this area.
Oh.
And you guys are all now kind of in the cobblestone area between this tavern, the Empty Net, and the quartermasters.
Do we want to go see what he's doing?
I'm just thinking, do we want to send Shaefira in and be all sneaky?
Yeah, go on then.
I just
Or-
want to actually check if he's the
bosun.
yes. Because if he is, I'd like to ask him some gentle questions.
Well, can we just look in and see if it's him?
Oh, if we can
It is
get
a shop.
if we can get closer together, once we're close. Oh, by the way, there's an imp following us. Just be aware. Not that you can see it, but yeah.
Okay.
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 I'm never going to learn Arcana, so I don't know anything more than that. But it's just like,
Where is Stiiv when you need him?
I know.
Shall we go to this shop then and see what this guy's up to?
well,
I mean-
I'm going to leave that. I'm the least capable of doing any form of subtlety.
Well, Kymir's just going to look at Shaefira and say, "What do you reckon?"
I don't know.
And Kereithlana's the one who can see where everybody is. She's actually tracking, like, okay, who's where?
Anyway,
I'm playing the
Coordinator.
shopkeeper with people.
She has an
yeah.
inventory of bodies, where they're standing.
Right, if you two want to go and have a look inside, I'll keep an eye on the outside in case he comes out. And I'll also keep an eye and see if I can see him. But I'm feeling hopeful on that one.
no, I'm confused. My understanding imps can be invisible whenever they want to be. Which why they're such a pain in the backside.
Elective poofing.
We've
Yeah.
got the youth training imp.
Yeah, we got youth training imp who's forgotten that they can be invisible.
Okay,
So
then I was going to say I'd be tempted to say let Shaefira sort of like go up to the building first and see if she can just sneakily look in and see if she can make out if that is the bosun or someone completely different who's of no interest.
would I know if it was the bosun?
Well, that's
or not?
true. Would any of us know?
Shaefira and Jozdess and Stiiv all saw the bosun
Okay.
when you were in the brig.
I really shouldn't have had that run when I got off that boat.
But Kymir and Kereithlana did not wake up in time to witness the bosun.
Okay, then I'm going to say, Shaefira, you go see if you can see through the window if it's him without them seeing you. And if you can't see him properly, let me know and we'll work out a plan from.
Okay. I'll sneak. Do I need to roll anything?
Now, you peer in the window, and behind the counter of a shop, you see a lovely tiefling woman flipping a coin. She has a couple helmeted, masked, very buff guards with her, minding the merchandise. You don't see a guy in a straw hat.
Okay. And that's all I can see, yeah?
That's all you can see.
I shall report back to Kymir and...
Oh, you do see a picture on the wall of a beautiful succubus in a top hat. It's a very exotic painting.
Yeah, I know somebody who like that.
It's a little bit racy to have like on a supply shop wall. But
What kind of supplies was it?
it's a quartermaster station.
Oh, yeah.
So you see armor, you see some weapons mounted on the wall, various different types of gear. Some of it looks like mining gear.
And
A lot
picture
of
a succubus.
just miscellaneous sundries that probably get some use between uh, the miners, the dwarven miners who work in town. Maybe there's some things that the fishers might have use of, and there's certainly adventuring gear here.
Okay. So I will let everybody else know what I've seen and that the bosun isn't in view. And decide what you want to do.
I know what I want to do, but I don't. I'm as subtle as a brick.
Yeah, see, I'm not sure if I'd even be bothered if I didn't see him. Would I really care?
Oh, okay. I'll go down the route of annoying people. As long as no one has any problems, I may cause a small ruckus, and I'll walk in.
Why are we interested? Sorry.
Yeah.
I just want to ask him something.
Okay.
And I'll walk into the shop.
All right, you walk into
Okay.
the shop. A little bell rings when you open the door. The tiefling
Ah.
doesn't pause in flipping her coin. She just says, "Howdy."
Good afternoon. I was trying to catch up with a friend. I wish to pay my compliments back to him on behalf of another one of my friends. He came in. Is it possible I could catch up with him?
Says, "I haven't seen anyone all day.
Oh,
Are you
the
looking to buy
bosun with.
something?"
Oh, I'm certainly willing to buy something, but I believe I owe the gentleman a small monetary favour for what are called the services rendered.
She gestures to the guards with her. Which is it one of them? They're the only fellas that I
No.
know
He
around
came into your
here.
shop just a few moments ago before myself.
Oh, sorry, I haven't seen anyone today.
Oh, that would be a shame. He did lend us some quite significant assistance, and I believe that would be worthy of a small recompense for what happened. Tis a shame, but obviously, I don't wish to say anything. But if you could pass the word on, our friend Stiiv, and would thank him for his kind efforts aboard the ship. And
Stiiv. I do know a Stiiv. Funny, horny guy. He's not a tiefling, though. Say,
no,
is the fella you're looking for, is he local?
I believe so.
You got a name?
I'm afraid I don't know his name. My acquaintance with him was very short, as he was, I believe, slipping Stiiv an item to enable us to escape the bonds we'd been accidentally entrapped in.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
As I said, I was hoping to pass on our thanks for his assistance.
Well, if you wanted to leave a note and if you left a description or some kind of name, I could maybe hand off a note to anyone who matches that description who comes into the store.
Well, as I said, he
But
has
I
a
haven't
scarred
seen
face,
anyone
wearing
all day.
a hat. No, I've gathered that that's what you're telling me. Don't wish to waste your time. Yes, just pass on the message to the gentleman if you do happen to see a scarred-faced gentleman wearing a hat. But we wouldn't mind at least buying him an excessive round of drinks for his assistance. On behalf of Stiiv, as I said, he's benefited a number of different people. And beyond that, but I don't wish to take up your time. But if I could buy some sailcloth, some rope, and 2 tarpaulins, sufficient size to cover a jolly boat.
Oh, yeah, certainly. Alright, so she's pulling things off the shelves that you've listed. And she kind of sums it up, and it's going to be 20 silver pieces. And she says, "I don't see Stiiv with you."
No, he had a bad the whole last few days took it out of him. I believe he wandered home to sadly, I believe, if I was going to get this right, to make bedding arrangements.
Oh, well, he doesn't live far from here, you know. If you go just down the street a little bit, I think he has an alley a little bit down the road.
Anyway, I'll pay. Well, how much are these things worth? 5 gold pieces. I'll play in one of the trade bars.
So it'd be like 2 gold.
Yeah, so the trade bars are worth, I believe, 5. So I'm going to pay in that.
Do you have anything you want to sell?
Sadly, not necessarily. Well, actually, there probably are. I don't know who's carrying the stuff we need to sell. So I'm not carrying it. So maybe later, my friends, we have a handful of materials we need to get rid of. Just minor gems and stuff.
If you want to use trade bars to pay for the tarpaulins and the other materials, she would take a trade bar for the items. Otherwise, she just would take 2 gold.
Yeah, well, the trade bars weigh ridiculous amounts, so I'm quite happy that is there anything else I could actually significantly do with that they will sell? No, I wanted the hemp rope. No, I've got no particular need for the stuff. So if you see the hatted gentleman, give him the change, and I'll take the goods and wander.
Alrighty. If you ever come across anything that's unusual and exceptional in terms of adventuring gear, we are on the lookout for exceptional items.
Yeah, I'll bear that in mind. Yeah, you have a lovely day, and I will try and find my friend.
She
Have a good
waves
day.
you off. Melissa be with you.
So walk out, smugglers, and start heading back to the boat, unless we're going somewhere else.
All right. Are you guys talking now about what you have learned?
Yeah, we're going to tell him what happened at the bank and what we got, and show him the deed.
You're not going to show him the box of toast. You're going to show him the deed. I think your priorities are
Show
wrong.
him, if that's true, I should show him the toast and try and make him eat some.
I ran into a sergeant friend of mine and then the captain. You sent the captain my way?
Yes.
Okay. I passed on the ledger, so he's holding that now. He's offered us a job. Possible job.
Okay.
I don't quite understand how that would work, but I couldn't speak for you, so I couldn't accept. But he wants us to possibly consider what I'll call general temping mercenary work. Seeing we've got a boat.
Okay.
And so if they took action on piratical matters and similar, he'd be interested in bolstering his marine numbers, seeing they don't have a lot on IQET and things like that. So he also, if we're going to sell the boat, and I still don't know what we're going to do with the boat, if we're going to sell the boat, he'd like to at least know who we sell it to if it's not to the town.
Okay.
I think that's all my input information.
Right.
You have toast. You have a deed.
And
You have a understanding with the captain of the town guard.
Yeah.
Okay. I really think we should find out what this deed is for.
Well, we've got to go to the town hall anyway to get a license temporarily on the boat.
All right,
so
cool.
people
So
don't
2 things.
steal it.
Right. Okay. So that would.
Yeah, that works well then.
Okay.
And Kymir is going to say that he's very interested in the captain's offer, because basically his whole reason for being here is to try and help with the piracy and everything. So
Okay.
All right, so you're going to head back north toward following the directions that Solemnia Silverteeth gave you for where the
Yeah.
town hall is. Jozdess would know anyway.
We keep an eye on Kereithlana as we go back over the bridge and make sure she don't fall down.
She feels
and
queasy
faint.
again. This
I've got a
this
theory about
bridge,
this.
obviously, there's something wrong with it, and she doesn't know why you aren't noticing it.
What
What's your
happens if I
theory?
swim across rather than using the bridge?
Are you going to swim across?
What, underneath it, or?
Mm-hmm.
How close to the bridge are you going to be? Or are you going to just swim across the channel at a distance?
A variety of different distances to see if it's a proximity thing or it's a me thing.
The closer you are to this bridge, the more unsettled you feel. But as you swim farther away from it, you feel fine again.
Okay.
You're not wearing that tiara, are you, that you picked up?
Maybe.
Oh.
You're a sea creature. It's a bridge dedicated to killing sharks and other sea creatures.
But, well, yeah, I suppose you don't count as a sea creature, do you?
So you cross the bridge,
Anyway,
get to the other side, pass through the market. You pass by a stall that's selling eggs.
yeah, I am going to stop and give them well, whatever it is, a silver,
I'd go
and
toast.
They
get
want-
eggs.
They'll trade toast for eggs, as well as those strange copper-colored pieces that they
Well, I'm going to
seem
buy a
treat
lot
as
of
money.
eggs.
I can provide you with a lot of toast.
And oddly, I don't want to eat dried.
You don't have
No.
to. You can trade it for the eggs, and then it don't cost
No,
you anything.
it's fine because the softs do all sorts of horrible things to eggs, and I don't understand it. So
How
I
many
give
eggs
them.
a day will Jaws eat?
Well, I won't just eat eggs. I'll eat meat, but at the moment they're convenient travel foods. So I believe it's a copper an egg, so I give them 10 silver pieces and grab 10 eggs
All right, absolutely. In fact,
and start popping them.
for 10 silver pieces, they'll sell you a full dozen as a kind of bundle deal.
10 silver pieces.
I mean, 1 silver piece. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I give her. I don't care about this stuff. So grab eggs, start popping eggs, crunching them happily away.
Munch, munch, munch.
All the crunchy bits.
As you approach,
Once I get bored of the first 4 or 5, I'll just start swallowing them. But anyway,
Jozdess
want
is
to waste my egg.
familiar with the council, with the town council building. But for those of you who aren't as familiar with Saltmarsh, it's a large brick building. It has a sturdy but weather-beaten platform and gallows in front of the building that is used occasionally for executions if someone is being punished for a more severe crime. But there's nothing like that going on now, and you can't see signs that it's been used recently. You head up the stairs, past this gallows, and enter somewhat dark hallway. And along one wall, you see several desks. Jozdess is familiar that there is another section in this building where they have a large open room, and that's where the town council meetings take place. Captain Eleander Fireborn is on the town council. As far as you're aware of, Gellin Primewater is also on the town council, and there are a couple other members.
Is there a clock?
A woman sitting at one of these desks. There is a tall, slender young man with a soul patch talking to her at one of these desks. And you overhear her say something like, "No, I wouldn't be interested. I'm pretty sure I have seen sloops that are longer. I'm really, really busy, Anders. And you hear him kind of sigh and wander off down the hall toward what look like more officious offices. And then she's like back at her desk doing forms. And you see a little sign by her desk that says, clerk of Saltmarsh.
Okay, so I'm Kymir's going to look at Jozdess and say, do you want to go sort out the boat first, or do you want me to go first? I don't mind.
Right,
Oh,
we need a boat license for a small jolly boat sloop.
A boat license?
Yes. For docking and putting it into our names until sale.
Certainly. She digs through her drawers and she pulls out a form. It has some kind of strange paper. And there seems to be multiple copies of the form with strange paper in between them. And she hands you a quill and she says, just fill this out. It'll, let's see, that's 5 silver pieces to register a property with this town.
Okay.
It takes about a fortnight, up to a fortnight, for the paperwork to be processed and official with the town.
Okay. I'll just stare at her for a bit. We also have some papers from the Kundarak Bank, if you could explain what they relate to.
And
My
you
friend's
hand her
carrying them.
the deed record, and she looks at it, and she's like, oh, I'll have to go look this up back in the records. But if you want to wait here and fill out your boat license form, I'll go and look up what this belongs to.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm going to stare blankly at the form.
Can't you read?
So you see there's like this long, dark hallway with racks and racks of bookshelves and boxes of papers. And you see her disappear down in these stacks with your deed. She's gone for a while. Whatever the filing system is, you don't see any apparent immediate signs marking the shelves that are closest to you. There's no designation about what the contents of the shelves are. And they all seem to be these strange unmarked boxes and books. So whatever the filing system is here, it's probably something that only this clerk understands.
Okay.
And you're standing around. Are you filling out the form, Jozdess, or are you getting the others to do it for you?
I'm debating whether I can be asked. Sorry, bad words. I'll try and evaluate whether there's actually any benefit in the long term for me doing this. How horrendously human is this form?
Well, it basically has your names. It has lines for a permanent address. But you recognize in your case, because you know the captain of the guard, you could get away with just putting your name on it as a point of contact. And you
Okay, so I'm going to just
you could just
fill
put
everything in, and
the guard hall or something like that.
I'm just going to put care of Eleander Fireborn at virtually every stage of the process. I'll put everyone's names down as far as I know them.
And as long as your name is on it, and there's like this accurate description of the type of boat it is, you have a good sense.
Well,
that
they'll get an accurate description of it.
You can get away with just dropping Eleander's name, and if anybody asks about it, he'll be like, yeah, I know it, this is fine. Now, what you can see in the fine print on the form is that there are taxes collected on property registered with the town. usually in the springtime. This is currently the fall, however. And the taxes are typically 1% of the value estimated
And we
by
don't know
the
how
town.
much the value of the boat is, do we?
But whatever the taxable value is, it is a good 6 months off.
Might not be here in 6 months. Don't
You
worry about
notice
it.
there's a little sign, a little nameplate at the desk, and the clerk who's off searching the stacks, her name was Trivet Amoria. And probably a half hour has passed. And when she comes back, she's not alone, and she looks very excited. Before, she was a bit kind of bored and hassled by the young man who was failing to flirt with her. But now that she's looked up your deed, she has this kind of bubbly excitement about her demeanor. And she has the same young man with her. And now, rather than brushing him off, she's dragging him along with her, and he's like not fighting it. And she kind of scurries up to you the last few feet, and she's like, "Oh my God, do you know what this is?"
No, we just kind of inherited it today.
"Oh my God, you now own the haunted house."
Cool.
What?
Haunted house.
Okay, here's the story. Oh my God, Anders, this is so cool. Like 20 years ago, maybe more, there was this alchemist, all right? He was like kind of creepy, and he liked to hang out by himself and do, I don't know, alchemy things. He lived in this house on a cliff to the south of Saltmarsh. And I don't know, like, what kind of creepy things he got up to there, but like about 20 years ago, he disappeared and just left it abandoned. And this is the deed to that house. I don't like. How did you come across it? I mean, it's yours now, because it's like, it seems like it's a bearer thing. I mean, if you have the deed, it's your deed. But where did you get this? Do you know the alchemist?
What do we want to do? I'm just gonna like look frantically at the group and say, do we like
Yes,
sort of?
we know the alchemist.
The
Forms. 5 silver.
the skinny young man with the soul patch. He kind of straightens himself, and you can tell that he's very well dressed. He's the clothes that he's got on are pretty pricey, and he kind of gives you a small bow, and he's trying to act like as cool and as suave as possible. I think some of my cats might be murdering each other in the background.
Use them as sound effects of the haunted house.
And he kind of introduces himself to you. He said, "Greetings. I am Andor Tholmar. Councilman Andor Tholmar."
Greetings. Hello.
And he said, this property is very interesting to me, because from what I've been able to determine, it's recently been used by smugglers. At least I suspect it's been used by smugglers. Now, if you talk to locals around here, they'll tell you that it's a haunted house. And Trinket's beside him. She's like, "Oh my God, it is so haunted. What are you talking about smugglers for? It's so spooky."
Spooky how?
It's very interesting to me that you own this property now, because I've wanted somebody to investigate this building for the longest time to see if there were actually smugglers on the property.
I can
Let me
assure
get this
you.
straight. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I can assure you that we will be going to the property, and if there are smugglers, we will make sure that they are
Yeah, like,
evicted.
if you own it now, it's totally your business to just go up to the house, clear out anything that's in there, whether it's ghosts or whether it's smugglers. But if it's smugglers, I'd really like to know about it, because we're really cracking down on that kind of thing here in Saltmarsh.
So it's a
Very well.
house out of town on top of a cliff.
It's about a mile
That-
south of
Mm.
the town.
There's no spring or actual point to the place being on the side of a cliff.
Well, there's a road. There's a couple of, spooky trees.
Hmm. And you question why it's a place that smugglers built.
Well, there was an alchemist. I mean, that's what they say. There was an alchemist there who was a bit of a hermit. So that's why he built outside of town.
And
But
did you say the
he
alchemist disappeared?
Yeah, he hasn't been seen or heard from for a good 20 years. Like, every once in a while he would come into town and get supplies. But he hasn't been in town for supplies in ages. And, well, there's sort of this other thing. And as he says there's this other thing, yet another person approaches. All of you recognize, that this is Gellin Primewater. He's kind of dressed fancily as well, a bit of a dandy. He's an older man. He's the fellow who was throwing the street party the other night. And he also is a town council person. And you see him kind of stroll down the hallway. He approaches you and he says, "Well now, I hear that somebody owns the haunted house. Looks like we're finally going to get those back taxes."
I'm not sure of the legalities of taxing us on a property that we've only just inherited.
Well, yeah, you say that. And Anders kind of lets out this sound. He's like, "Huh, yeah, he's right. That's not illegal." And Gellin kind of scoffs and he's like, "Well, somebody hasn't been paying taxes on this property for a good 20 years.
Then you should find that person and ask them to pay the taxes, because for those 20 years we weren't those people.
I figure before we settle up letting somebody take legal residence, someone needs to pay up that money." Now, if we're going to have a disagreement about it, I say we put it as a matter before the town council before anybody takes hide nor hair toward this property. We can sort it out as a jurisdictional matter of the council. And Anders kind of scoffs at this again because he thinks it's completely ridiculous. And he says, "I will pay any back taxes because this is stupid. And I'm not going to waste time putting this up for discussion in front of the town council just because you are a jerk." So Gellin looks a little bit nonplussed by this. He didn't expect Anders to give him any problem about his intention to try to collect taxes for this property. And he says, that's fine. Fine, you pay up the taxes. I suppose they could take ownership. While they're talking, Trivet is kind of fiddling around in her desk, fiddling with the papers that she brought back associated with the deed. And she stamps a couple things. Anders pulls this really large purse off of his belt, and you see him pull out some platinum pieces and hand them over to Trivet. And she stamps some more papers. She takes your boat license and she stamps that. And then, wraps everything up into 2 separate envelopes. Somehow makes copies of all these papers. This is like mystical clerkomancy kind of stuff. And then she hands you a copy of the deed document. It says taxes paid on one of the stamps. And then she hands you a copy of your boat license. And she says, the formal copy, of your boat license, you can pick it up, and I don't know. I'll rush this order because this is so cool. Like, if you just come by and like tell me about the haunted house and what you see there, oh my god, I would just love to hear. And I'll make sure that I get this license completely finished, like before the week is out.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Anders invites you back to his office while Gellin is huffing and puffing about this whole taxing situation and how they're new owners to this property that's just been out in the boonies of the town for ages. But Anders Solmar invites you back to his office. Do you want to go with him?
Yes, I do. I'm not bothered about if anyone else wants to join me, but I definitely want to speak to Anders.
Yes, because I think he's just brought us out of a very big hole.
I'm just going to wander around.
Are you just going to wander around the hall, the records?
No, I'll wander. I will follow them. I will thank the nice lady by giving her a tipping egg. She can have an egg.
She
I've got
takes
plenty
the
of
egg
egg.
from you, and she looks at the egg, and she's like, okay.
I'll give her give her a
Thanks.
proper bow and everything, and present her with the egg, and then I'll wander off.
Awesome. Have fun at like the haunted house. Oh, this is so cool. And Gellin's just standing there looking like, curses. So Anders leads you to his office, and it's quite roomy, and it's ornately furnished. There are nice comfy couches. There's some brandy at the sideboard, if any of you are interested in that.
Yeah.
Booze and alcohol.
No, toast and alcohol.
He repeats, I think that this whole haunted house nonsense may not be true. There's a lot of smuggling going on in town. I think it's kind of nefarious. And the only way that we can move forward in Saltmarsh is to make everything above board, stamp out the criminal activity. So, if you could investigate your new property, I'd be happy to supplant your investigation, and maybe, we could consider that whole little tax matter, null and void, because you're helping me out.
Yeah, we could
Yes.
certainly do that.
Yep.
Mhm.
I would like to thank you very much for helping us out with the tax situation. But I
Another
wondered
thing.
if I might just ask you some questions.
Oh, sure.
About...
What would you like to know?
Well, you said the alchemist disappeared 20 years ago.
Yeah, he just stopped coming around.
Okay, so when do you suspect the smugglers started? Or when do you suspect the smugglers moved into that property?
Well, I've only been on the council for a couple years, so I've only, been aware of possible activity for the past couple of years. It could have been going on longer than that. Maybe not.
Okay. And no one heard anything about the alchemist moving to another town, or him having an accident, or no one's been in to see if he passed away.
Nope. But all that happened when I was a baby.
Obviously, yes. Okay.
But the
Mr.
way my
Mr.
mommy told
Pran-
me, the way she
Yeah.
described it, is that he pretty frequently would come into town, to get supplies, at least once a month. And then all of a sudden he just stopped coming into town once a month. And nobody's actually seen a sign of any people in the house since then. But there have been stories about strange noises at night, strange lights and sounds. And there was one poacher guy who likes to hang out at the empty net, and he said that he went in there once, and that, well, he claims that there were ghosts, but I think he might just be crazy.
Do you have a name?
I'm Anders Solmar.
Sorry, the gentleman who went into the haunted house.
Oh, the gentleman who went to the haunted house. I must remember his name. He's a bit grungy. I think he lives in the alley somewhere near.
It's fucking Stiiv. Thank you. I think I may know who you mean. All right, I've just got one other thing I'd like to ask.
Yes.
How long has Prime Water been in charge of? Is he in charge of the town? Have we established that? Prime Water,
the
Gellon
dam
guy.
I was going to talk to you about him too, because I think there's something not quite right about Prime Water. He's been on the town council longer than I have. He's not in charge. That would be Eva Overland. But he's really in tight with Eva Overland. They're always on about, doing stuff for the fishermen. Whereas I just want to expand trade, make Saltmarsh a bit of something worldwide, And the only way we can do that is by expanding the town and growing and keeping a sense of law and order.
Right. I think that you've definitely got the right idea. And me and my friends, and I'll just look around at the other guys and just sort of nod and hope that they nod with me. We will investigate the house that we have now become owners of. You can leave it with us.
Excellent. Now, if you need to reach me, I'm usually either here or I have a house to the north side of town, maybe half a mile north of here.
Okay, I'm sure the good people of the town would be able to point us in the right direction if we needed to contact.
And if you do catch any smugglers, there'll be a gold reward in it for you.
Catch or kill?
Well, fine that you killed some smugglers would work too, I suppose.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna look around to say that. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, if you could interrupt, if you find smuggling activity, if you could interrupt it, I'd be perfectly willing to offer up would 1,000 gold bounty work for you?
Kymir looks around and watches Shaefira's eyes just light up. That would be much appreciated.
Great, excellent.
I'm just going to look around at the rest of the group and see if anyone, has anyone got any other questions that they want to?
What was this guy's name again?
Anders.
Anders Solmar.
Okay. And who was the leader of Saltmarsh?
The other
Overland.
councilman. Yeah, the leader on the council is Eva Overland.
Eva as in a female or a male?
As a female.
Right.
EVA.
EVA, right.
The other person you met was Gellon Primewater, who was hassling you, throws parties. Eleander Fireborn, the captain of the town guard, is also on the council. And Jozdess knows that there's another member of the town council, one of the dwarves, who's mainly there to represent the mining concerns. And her name is Manistrad Copperlocks.
Bloody hell. What? How do you spell that?
I'll type it in chat.
Right, thank you.
The only thing I will point out to the good counsellor, he may want to compare notes with Eleander Firebrand. It may make some more sense about how we acquired the deed to the Alchemist's Place based on the story that report I've already given to the captain. And it may also shine some light onto Gallon Primewater's behaviour.
Oh, you don't say. Well, then that's what I'll do. I'll head over to...
I would do it surreptitiously, if you can, as part of your normal daily duties.
That's a good point, because it's kind of strange that Gellon was here, right now, at the same time that you were looking at the deed. He doesn't usually hang around the town council building during the day.
No, he seems remarkably well informed. Oh, is there a town mage?
Well, there's a guy who lives in the tower. There's some other magical people around, too.
Okay. Just because I think it's something a civic leader should know. You might have an imp problem.
Infestation.
An infestation. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh,
How long have you
God.
been working on that?
About 15 seconds.
No. Show off.
Just it's since we came back, we've been under observation, and again, I don't want to again go through the wonderful tale here, but again, I've given a report to Eliander, and he can bring you up to speed, probably over brandy and drinks in a much more civil society than I can.
Right. I will touch base with Eleander. Find out what you've already reported to him.
You don't know whether Gallon Prime Water, his home he uses for storage of trade goods?
Well, he is a merchant, so it's not completely unheard of that he stores cargo in his house sometimes because it's a really large house. I mean, I do that myself. I'm also a merchant.
Okay,
trader.
I was just wondering. I would have expected him to use warehouses and similar. Just I've
Yes.
seen some odd fellows entering his house today with a lot of.
We do have
crates.
warehouses, but sometimes when the cargo is especially precious, you might. Sometimes, at least, I feel more secure storing some things in my house when it's something properly valuable. But I can't completely speak for Gallon Prime Water.
I'm just gonna look over at Jozdess and say, do you trust this Captain Eliander? Because is it not a coincidence that you've handed over the ledger to him and Gellon was here? Should Anders go speak to him?
I believe, from my understanding, that Gellon and Eliander's requirements are almost certainly aligned. Considering what's been going on, our return has been noted. Our return in the boat has been noted. There are certain of our nature makes us stand out in the crowd, and is an easy matter to report back that certain people who disappeared 2 days ago are now wandering around the town again.
Then I'm going to look at Anders and say, just be careful, because Eliander might not be telling you the.
But as I said, you already looked at the ledger, and the ledger doesn't show anything other than the fact that someone's been paying off the smugglers. Whereas the fact that there are imps specifically observing us, there's smugglers who are. Yeah, that's just it. The town
We
is
need
a
to do
mess
some
of
digging.
conflicts, I'm afraid
Yeah.
to say. And it's easier not to get overly involved or concerned with it, but at the end of the day, yeah, you've already heard my opinion about Gallon Prime Water.
Well,
so.
At least you have eggs and toast.
Well,
do have
what more
eggs.
can you ask for? No, he's eating all the eggs.
No, I've still got 4. Well, 3.
So
Too many eggs is bad for your coat.
you
Or skin.
wrap up your conversation with Anders. He's going to go.
Mhm.
You're still letting him go reach out to Eleander Fireborn.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's suspicious that Eliander's got the ledger and then Gellon's turned up. It just seems too much of a coincidence. As Jozdess has pointed out, it's odd that Gellon is so well informed, and the only thing that I can immediately think of is the fact that we've handed over some information to another council member. But then again, it's also possible that they've just discussed things because they are council members.
Did you tell Eliander that you were going to the bank to get a deed which you didn't know anything about?
Crap, do I remember that?
No.
I don't think we did.
The problem is, as I understand it, the sequence of events involves us having a mysterious deed, going to a place, turning the mysterious deed into a second mysterious deed, and turning up here. The only person who would know what the mysterious deed was is the person who put it in the bank in the first place.
But yeah, I suppose that's true. So we're talking then about someone giving Gellin information either from the bank. Well, from the bank, really.
Well, as said,
We didn't.
it could just be the imp. If you go for the simplest solution, if there's an imp
True.
wandering around,
If the spy, yeah, okay. I still think the warning to Anders is genuine. Just be careful. Don't necessarily trust what your fellow council members are telling you, because if Gellin's possibly in with the smugglers, that doesn't mean the other council members aren't.
All right.
I
He's
just
kind
want
of
you to be
he's kind of
careful.
looking side to side, like he's way more paranoid now that you've talked to him.
Sorry. Yeah, I think that's everything.
Do you think I can still talk about this with my butler? I tell my butler everything.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Oh, okay. So, are you done at the town council building?
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty much. The market's on, isn't it?
Honestly, as soon as we get outside the council building, I'm going to turn to everyone else and say, we need to find Stiiv.
Well, we also need to get rough provisions, fill the jolly boat, and we can leave.
But we need to find Stiiv because it
Yes.
sounds like he's been in the house and we need information before we get in there. But I fully agree that we
You
need provisions
don't know-
before we head to the house.
You don't know where Stiiv is, but you do know that the patron at the quartermaster, the tiefling at the quartermaster, said that his hovel was very close by, like almost across the street from the quartermaster building.
Okay, so we could potentially call at the market, get some provisions, go to the quartermasters, sell some stuff, go find Stiiv.
Sounds reasonable.
All right.
Well, I'd suggest we don't necessarily need to turn the gems and stuff like that into.
They're lighter as gems.
Yes. We might as well just keep them as they are, and we'll deal with them when we need to.
You
That's
do
it,
have a
going to-
lockbox at the bank for another 8 days.
Yeah, I don't want to put anything in there if we're not going to be. Yeah. How far out from town was this house?
Miles.
The house the haunted house is about a mile south of the visible map. Like I shared the Saltmarsh map with you.
Yeah.
Now, I guess there's a long way and there's a short way. If you follow the roads, it's going to be about a 3-mile loop following the established roads. It kind of winds around and then it gets to a certain point where it becomes a kind of a pathway that's overgrown with brush. And then you could just follow along the cliffside by foot.
What
And
if we
get
sailed in
there.
the jolly boat?
Yeah, I was going to take the boat. Well, I'd suggest taking the boat.
There are
It means we're
cliffs.
not leaving it here.
So, you can't access it directly by jolly boat. Because this whole area beyond the harbor, once you get south of the harbor, there are cliff sides.
Bugger.
Yeah. If it is being used for smuggling,
There'll be a link, but it won't.
You would think there'll be somewhere,
Though.
but it's whether or not we'd be able to spot it.
yeah.
Sorry, Kereithlana, I just talked right over you.
No, that's right.
No. It said, I'd rather take the jolly boat there, even if we have to pull the jolly boat back to a small cove nearby or even half a mile away. That's fine as far as I'm concerned.
So go and scout it
But-
first.
I'm deeply annoying with that, but I'm not concerned about the cliffs. And I have just bought 100 foot of rope.
And you could just
Amelia was going to
climb up
make a
the
nest
cliff.
out of the rope, but we can use it. We can do the whole Princess Bride Cliffs of Death thing, so that's fine.
Well,
I know for a fact that
Jozdess is-
Shaefira.
Okay.
Go on.
Jozdess is the least bothered by the cliffs of death.
I know for a fact that Shaefira's got climbing gear and I've got rope, so I would feel that we could do something for the rest of us to get us safely up the cliffs if
But-
we can't find a landing.
If smugglers were going to be using this as a base of operation, it will be on the cliff side, not from the house. The house may well be haunted. As I said, you got two people spreading rumors about a location. The likely point, the truth is the fact that soft brains being soft, both are true. You've got smugglers operating out, and you've also got ghosts.
And at the
So-
moment, it's probably, I don't know how much time has passed, probably early afternoon.
Okay. So we could plan to like get provisioned up, try and find Stiiv to try and get us any information that we can, and then maybe like rest overnight and set off first thing in the morning.
All right, so the next place you're headed is back to the market?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so you go to the market. What are you trying to get together?
Just food.
Yeah,
Like
food.
rations.
More eggs? Jam?
They don't travel brilliantly. So just rough just traveling provisions, stuff that we can put in the boat. Just stuff. I don't know how long we're planning on going, so it's not going to be. We don't need a lot. We just need a sufficiency.
All right, it's 5 silver pieces for 1 day's rations. Those are standard rations. You can find a nice jar of jam will cost you a silver piece, but it's whole fruit. So how many rations are you guys buying? And do some of
I'm
you
going to
need-
continue to get rid of the trade bars as fast as possible because they are stupidly heavy.
You
So
find
yeah,
that they will typically trade 50% of the total value in silver if you use a
Yep.
trade bar.
yeah, I'll just get rid of it. I really don't care. So I'll hand over the trade bar, which is 5 gold. So that's 5 sets of rations. I don't know how
Yeah.
much.
They'll
So
give you 5
currently,
days of
I'll point out
rations.
I've been paying everything, and I don't really care. So,
It's
5,
just soft money.
I'll buy 10 lots of rations, which is 2.5 plus another 2.5, which is that 17.
So yeah,
There.
they'll give you 10 days of rations. They will give you that for 2.5 gold or 2 gold, 5 silver, and a trade bar.
Oh, and I've taken that money off. Does this work? No.
Drag it
Yes, what I just did.
to your inventory.
No, I don't want to drag it into my inventory. I'm going to put it on the boat. So I'm going to put it in the party inventory. I can't add to the party inventory. So
Do you already have anything? You can just update your gold pieces or silver pieces or whatever on your sheet.
no. I'm trying to put the rations on the party sheet.
Oh,
What, into a
I'm just
parcel?
going to drag some to your inventory.
Well, I wasn't going to carry them. I'm going to stick them on the boat. You see, so
Oh, okay. I'll put them in the party inventory.
I'm
catching
I'm not
up
worried
now.
about food. If I need food, I'll go fishing. But
Oh, and we still have stuff in your party inventory. Does somebody want to take these before I clear it?
Well, again,
Yeah.
I was leaving them there because
You're going to
we
leave
don't know how.
the gems and the Eberron Dragon shards on the boat?
We could leave them in the lockbox.
That's where they are. So
No. The lockbox.
In the bank.
Go to the bank. You can drop them off at the bank.
what happens when your lease runs out on this super expensive lockbox?
We'd have to make sure we remember to pick them up if we're not going to keep the lease.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on how long we're going to hang around. If we're going to hang around for a while, I will happily keep the lockbox.
Yes, if
And
your
extend
lockbox
it.
expires while you still have stuff in it, the bank will take ownership. But
Mm.
Yeah.
otherwise, you can just leave them It's the
They're-
safest
they're-
place to
they're-
leave
they're-
anything in town for the next 8 days.
They're realistically not worth enough to worry about that. You're paying 5 gold a day to keep a couple of gold's worth of gems in there.
Yeah.
So
Take 'em
again,
with 'em.
Yeah.
so I just want to use the party sheet for junk we haven't assigned yet. So it's just like
All right, I put 10 rations in the party inventory.
Okay, I'll take the gems.
can you
I'll
put
stick them in my
2
pouch.
rope and tarps and stuff in the same thing as well? Because again, I'm putting all these on the boats. I was planning on making an S there, so I don't have to stay anywhere. But thank you.
I put 2. I'll have to create the tarp after.
Well, I thought there was a tarp on the system. There was something, but
Oh, let me see.
ground. No, I'm not finding it. I thought there was something that was equivalent, but
Yeah. Nah, I'll make one.
I just basically do something to go across the top of the boat, so if it rains, it doesn't fill up with water.
Yeah, does anyone need water skins? Or is there anything else that you guys are picking up while you're at the market?
Oh, water barrels and water skins would be a good idea.
Definitely.
I have no idea how much these things cost.
2 silver.
Well, I'd be tempted, considering we're intending. Well, we're going to go find Stiiv. Whether or not he joins us, a matter. But at the moment, there's 4 of us. We don't know how
Put it
long
down
it's
to
going to
16.
take
I
to
buy
sort
5
out,
water skins and put those into the party sheet at the moment.
and I would buy another portion of rations. So another 10 rations.
Another 10? Okay, I'll put
Yeah.
20 in there then.
Okay, so how much was that?
It is 5 gold for 10, or
Right.
1 gold and 2 trade bars.
No, I've just knocked 5 gold off me current gold.
I might have misspoken about the trade bars. But yeah, 5 gold. It's like, the second I'm not looking at exactly how much the trade bars are worth, I forget what the trade bars are worth.
Yeah.
It's like out of
12
mind, they
cubic
cease to
feet,
exist.
300 pounds a gear. Can we buy a sea chest as well?
A sea chest? What about the chest that you had in the boat?
We've got one, but that currently requires to be locked and sealed to someone with lock picks and stuff. So
You mean one that we can open ourselves?
yeah,
Right.
without using Shaefira's wonderful
Alright, that's going to
talents.
cost you about... You can get watertight chests here because it is a coastal town. It'll cost you about 5 gold to get a watertight chest.
Okay.
I pay it. No, I really
Okay,
don't
then.
care about my money.
Fine.
Big spender.
Well, not really. This stuff's meaningless. Again, shunt that into that because that's in the boat, and that's where all rations can go, and the water skins and all the various junk. Oh, final dumb thing to add to if we can have a barrel as well, so we can put potable water on the boat. I think that's a couple of gold pieces as well.
2.
Yeah. Hooray! I have less money.
I
No money.
want to know if the market has got anyone who sells butter.
They do have butter.
I want butter, please.
Yeah, you can
And
get some...
jam.
You can get, like, the jam. How much did I say the jam was worth? 1 silver piece for some nice jam. All fruit, plenty of sugar.
That sounds good.
Best brands. And you can get a pound of butter for like a copper piece.
I would like to purchase a pound of butter and a pot of jam, please. I'm not sure how that works out with gold and silver and things. Hang on.
If you have any silver pieces,
You
could take away 2 and then give yourself 9 copper.
I don't. I only have gold pieces and trade bars. So how much is it? How much
Alright,
silver is a
Take
gold
away
piece?
1 gold.
Yep.
Give yourself 10 silver. take away 2 silver, give yourself 9 copper. So that'd be like, take away 1 gold, give yourself 8 copper and 9. Oh, wait. I misspoke.
Oh, I could see. Okay, that makes sense.
Take away 1 gold, give yourself 8 silver and 9 copper.
So that makes sense.
Done.
Sorry, I figured out a better way of doing dumb ship if you don't want to be using the.
Are you going to put a boat in your inventory?
Yeah, I'm going to put a boat in my inventory.
Woohoo!
Is it equipped? Make sure it's not equipped.
The lizard folk is wearing a boat.
And that's not going to be equipped. It's just going to be a thing.
You might want to give it a short.
No, that's fine.
All right, anything else at the market?
Right, weaponage and stuff. What have people got?
I have my hands,
You have your hands. That's all you.
my feet, and possibly my tail.
Okay. Do you need any cesta or anything like that? You're alright as you are.
Did that?
Yeah, I think I'm
transfer
good
over?
with that.
Okay.
I'm
Shaefira?
okay. I've got a cutlass that I
How?
need to get
Oh,
rid
there
of.
we go. That went.
Right. You have a rapier that you.
I'm so excited to look at Jozdess's inventory later and just see all of the containers.
Yeah, it's going to be containers of containers. It's going to be
Containers and
great.
containers and containers.
Go.
So, are you going to go, like the quartermaster that you were at earlier is probably the best bet at finding additional weapons or selling gear. There is a blacksmith in town, but they're usually quite backlogged. And they also kind of focus on seafaring equipment, like hooks and harpoons and that kind of stuff. So you probably would have a hard time getting something, a weapon, like if you want something specific made right away.
I would be tempted to call up the quartermaster to sell this crossbow that I picked up for Shaefira on the ship, but I don't think she needs it because she's got a short bow now. So yeah, she's
Yeah.
telling me she don't need it.
I've got a cutlass, a rapier, and a trident.
Unless you want to interact with a quartermaster again specifically, I would say you can give yourself 50% of the stated value in gold and then just delete those items that you want to sell out of your inventory.
Okay.
Okay.
And
yeah.
if you wanna barter, we can just go ahead and do a persuasion check to see if you've bartered it up to a higher return rate.
No, I'm fine. So 75 is like 32.
How? It keeps on stacking my inventory.
Are you getting multiple?
So at the moment, because I've already got rope in my inventory, it put it as dumped it all in the same thing.
Added to the, yeah, it's hard to have more than one of a specific item in your inventory.
That's fine. I'll just put it all in my.
Yeah, we would have to literally change the name
Yeah, I'll do that in a second
to stop it from stacking.
Well, no, I've even done that in the past, and it's it's gone back to being annoying. There we go.
I think I have to do it at an item level for it to start to be recognized as a separate item. There's kind of like this, some things cascade and some things don't cascade depending on how you do them.
Okay. Dispose of one of the rapiers, the cut.
Am I okay to just...
I was joking earlier about we're doing a whole bunch of mundane errands today during today's session. And
No,
I'm literally
right.
on the recording, there's like going to be 5 minutes of Jozdess managing his inventory.
Not managing my inventory, it's the boat's inventory.
I am so pumped about this though.
Oh, Shaefira,
Yes.
can I have my dagger back?
Sure.
Thank you.
Would you like me to chuck it at you?
No.
Do you want
I
to
just
point first?
want it back.
And I should also note that the marketplace, you know, I said the quartermaster, but the marketplace would also, if there's anything that's worth less than 100 gold pieces that is in the adventuring gear in the player's handbook, you could purchase that if you were making any purchases in the marketplace.
I'm also replacing my tinderbox, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I can't think of what I actually need. Should I remove this captain's contract now that I've handed it in and everything? Just get it.
Yeah, I'll replace. Well, let's see. You got handed a copy of the deed records, and I'll replace that in your inventory.
Okay.
Okay, the boat was called the Golden Hook, by the way.
Oh, is it the Golden Hook, is it?
Yeah.
I was just
You written that
waiting
down
to
somewhere.
see if anybody had taken notes.
No.
Well, it's got it written in the ledger, but
Did I write their name down? Did I write that down? I don't know.
I don't take notes. If I don't remember, I don't remember.
Yeah, I looked back through the previous through session 0 on YouTube, and annoyingly, the combat tracker is out of sight.
Yes.
I can see the right hand side of it and not the left.
I've moved it now. I moved it in later episodes so that it is actually visible. Why were you doing stealth observation of like people's stats and stuff?
No. I was trying to work out what the name of the halfling was.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
still don't know.
Oh, the halfling?
Vilewind or Bilewind or...
Oh. Venomwind.
Venomwind. There we go.
Yeah, he was the drow in the Venomwind is the drow that was in the Union adventuring party who works with Pansy Pepperweight. So that is an interesting thing that that Jozdess told Eleander that he was on this boat with shirt. So I assumed you guys have gone to the quartermaster, sold off your gear, bought the things that you want to buy just to stock up. And at this point, your next goal is to find Stiiv.
Yeah.
As you exit the quartermasters, you're in a cobblestone square, and you suddenly see a group of what looks like a combination of thugs and shady characters drawing swords and surrounding you, looking for a fight. And that's where we're going to end this session. And when we pick up next time, it will be to roll initiative.
Okay. Considering
not
how I
have a
rolled the few times I've rolled today, that's probably a good idea to leave it till next.
You can roll initiative now, or we can wait.
No.
If you're not feeling lucky, yeah, you can wait to roll initiative. There was very little dice rolling today, no combat. Because as usual, we did not get quite as far as I expected.
Well, we like to cover all the bases.
But I think some interesting things happened, some intriguing things happened that I didn't plan on, but hey, yay!
Cool. Keep the DM on her toes.
Okay, I've updated the list of people we've encountered.
I've made notes tonight.
And when we come back, I guess theoretically Esteban or Stiiv, maybe he's going to be the one finding you guys. I don't know.
Maybe.
Cool.
Whee! Well, thank you, everyone. And I will try to sort out the items that you do not have that I need to create new versions.
Oh, what, the tarps? I can actually just do that. It's easy.
Okay.
Well, I can create a holding thing, but I'd forgotten about those.
But I can just make a tarp item and drag it in your inventory, and I'll make a deed and drag it to Kymir's. And the jam and butter.
The important bits, yes.
those
Can I
vital
try?
components.
Definitely. Kymir is a lover of butter.
And you have endless toast now.
There we go.
Hey,
I've put tarps on the boat. I don't know how much what to make them weigh. I'll make them weigh the same as the rope. There we go.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thanks,
Right.
everyone.
Have a good week,
See you
everyone.
next week.
All right. Bye,
Thank
Steve.
you. Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Steve in absentia.
Yes, we missed you.
Farewell, Esteban.
They are.
No.
Night, y'all.